Paige Berrigan. As one of our valedictorians, Paige plans to attend the University of Western Ontario to study astrophysics, where she has already received the President's Choice Entrance Award. Paige is receiving the Kathleen Grant Memorial Kelowna Rebecca Lodge Bursary presented by Miss Bernice Reed. As well, she is also receiving the Lee Sisters Bursary presented by Mr. Jim Strong.
Yeah,
Students, educators, parents, and friends of the Kelowna Senior Secondary graduating class of 2019. Thank you all for joining us today in our celebration. My name is Paige Berrigan, and I'm honored and privileged to be able to represent our incredibly diverse, bright, and promising grad class in our ceremony this evening. Today, we are here to celebrate this accomplishment of our completion of 13 years in the school system. But more importantly, we are here to celebrate each other. I've spoken to many in our grad class about their next steps, and I've spoken to even more adults about it. And I thank all of you out there that have been available to answer my endless questions. A common trend I have noticed is that all of us are terrified to wonder what the future will hold. And believe me, I am as well. But instead of pacing in fear and ambiguity, I ask that you instead consider the world of possibilities we are now diving into. These past 3 years, I have seen so much change in our student body. As a grad class, we've gone through highs and lows. We have seen our peers triumph through great achievements and challenges, but also flounder at the hand of unwelcome situations. These years have been incredibly challenging for so many of us, and I'm so proud of how each and every one of our graduates has been constantly adapting to the changing circumstances. This year, unlike any other, has proven how strong we are in numbers, and when many work together, big change is possible. Many of our teachers here had noted on just how incredibly odd our grad class is. These are without a doubt some of the strangest, most diverse, most creative, and most wonderful people I've gotten the pleasure of knowing throughout the past 3 years. We have been part of a group that has grown up in an era of political, economic, and environmental uncertainty. And though we are not the ones who caused these problems, it is now our moral obligation to join the conversation. And I have to say, I'm so proud of what our generation has done to put us on the right path. KSS has been actively involved in walkouts, climate protests, fundraisers, blood donations, and many other events that are constantly working to change our community and our world into a better place. I'm proud to say that we are sending out graduates that are aware of the problems that this world has and are so eager to fix them. Looking back into our history as being one of the first generations raised on technology, recall the very first iPod Touch came out in 2007. If Apple can go from that radically disparate game changer to an iPhone X in just 10 years, just imagine what 549 of our graduates will be able to do within their next 10 years. I'd like to invite you to think about the person you were on the first day of grade 10. Did you see yourself here? Look to the people you sit with today. Consider where you are now working, the activities you're now doing. Think about how many things have changed in the past 3 years. I know my grade 10 self never would have thought she'd be up here giving a speech, and she definitely didn't think she'd be performing in plays or emceeing Airband. As someone who needed 4 years of speech therapy and almost 10 years overcoming the self-consciousness associated with having a lisp, and someone who forced themselves into drama to learn the basics of public speaking, I've come a long way in a short period of time. Imagine for a moment if each and every one of our graduates could live up to their full potential. Imagine the differences we could make. Though we have thrived as individuals, now is the time that we join to become a greater part of the whole. And with almost 600 dedicated and passionate students, the world is truly in our hands. In the past, I've considered myself to be a person who doesn't enjoy the risk of failure. So instead of allowing myself to be vulnerable, I settled for mediocrity. The hardest lesson to learn is that now, and in the future, we do not need to be perfect. There's almost this silent pressure that is being constantly put on so many of us, and it's hard to escape the voice in your head that is telling you that you need to be doing more. All I can ask myself, and of each one of you, is that you do the best you can with the tools that you have been given. You cannot control the cards that you are dealt, but you do get to choose how you play them. Through my years at KSS, I've pushed past this challenge, and I've decided that I, and all of you, ultimately deserve better than mediocre. I've allowed myself to be part of programs, clubs, and classes that have changed the person I've become, and I know all of you out there, if you can reflect back on your time here, many of you can say the same thing. As easy as it is to join in on the crowd of complaints about having to write an essay, waking up early, or never finding a spot in our parking lot, I think as a class, we like school more than we care to admit. At graduation events, both sanctioned and not, the Whose House Owl's House chant never fails to make its appearance. And I believe this speaks measures of the pride, respect, and spirit that we have for our school. We must also recognize just how lucky we are to have the right to education. And of all the continents, countries, provinces, and cities, we have won the lottery and ended up here in Kelowna. I know it doesn't always feel like it, but through whatever hardships we have faced, it's hard to believe sometimes that we have been given the upper hand. I ask that you take this opportunity. Take the lessons you have learned, take the highs and the lows, and take the honor of a high school education and go make something great out of it. I know sometimes school can feel like a chore, but please remember just how incredibly privileged we are to be fulfilling this opportunity by crossing the stage here today. This address would not be complete without acknowledging the incredible Erin Tanner. For those of you who are unaware of Erin's journey these past couple of months, Erin suffered a serious and unexpected hemorrhage in her brain that resulted in her being placed in a medically induced coma. Many surgeries, machines, and doctors later, I am thrilled and overwhelmed to say that Erin has surpassed the expectations of just about every medical professional she has had. She has recovered in a way none of us could have ever expected. When I was down in Vancouver visiting about 3 weeks after her hemorrhage, I left the hospital in tears, wondering if Erin would come back to her family and friends, the same funny, quick, and wonderful girl I've gotten the pleasure of knowing. I am so incredibly proud to admit just how wrong she has proved me. Erin's progress to the point she is present here today to cross the stage is nothing short of extraordinary. Her cognitive ability, recognition, and mobility have improved at such a monumental rate. And I know myself, as well as the entire student body, cannot wait to see the great things she accomplishes next. I'd like to extend a thank you to Erin's mother, Susan, her father, Ken, her sister, Bryn, her boyfriend, Drake, and each and every one of her friends and supporters for all you have done to assist Erin in her progress to this point. Her recovery has been incredible, and I know this is only the beginning. On behalf of all of our students, I'd like to extend a final thanks to all the teachers, counselors, principals, parents, guardians, and all the faculty at KSS. Each of these adults I've gotten the pleasure of knowing throughout the years have directly assisted in the learning and understanding of our further educational goals. We as a class have been lucky enough to have the best of the best in terms of faculty, readily available and present to assist us through our years here. Though it is common in many of these addresses to quote Lincoln or Einstein, I would like, just as SpongeBob did in Airband, to quote some of the amazing teachers known to our students that have been influencing our graduating class. We are reminded that we are smarter than we think we are. There is no wrong choice about our futures, and that the path to success is not a straight line. Though our education here has been extremely valuable, I am proud to say I have learned more from my peers, educators, and advisors than I ever could from a textbook, and I will continue to do so. So once more, to all those who have aided in our students' journey to this point, thank you. And thank you for allowing me to represent you all tonight. Congratulations, class of 2019.